Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS. So Maximum Crisis is finally here, and if you're anything like me, you're probably already sick of hearing the words True Kings. Like literally, True Kings this, True Kings that. It's the like 2 secret rares in the set, almost all of the ultra rares. This engine's getting teched into everything. And of course, we're already tired of hearing the word zoo. But here are 5 decks for Maximum Crisis that aren't being talked about too much, but might be worth building. And stick around, I've also got an important announcement at the end. Let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and kick things off with my favorite deck, Subterras. As you guys probably already know, I'm building this. I just need to get a couple of cards. I'll have the deck profile up to you guys really soon, so subscribe for that. But yeah, Subterras are that TCG exclusive archetype that, I mean, it's always been really interesting and I've always wanted to play it, but it just never felt quite good enough. The thing is though, with the new support, it's actually pretty viable. Subterra Fiendus is actually a really good card. It's a hand trap, but it also gives the deck a lot of the speed and sort of proactiveness that it needed. You can basically use Fiendus on her own to get Subterra monsters out of your graveyard or your hand, and that's huge because that lets you start summoning them all. Because if you know anything about Subterras, the biggest problem with them, aside from the bricking, is just actually getting them all out on the field and getting them flipped up and down and up and down. But the cool part is she lets you do that really easily, in addition to just being a hand trap that can negate stuff. And there are also some other cool support cards. Final Battle's a really versatile trap, and Phosphor Glacier is actually one of the reasons why Subterras can be mixed with a lot of things now, because it pitches any card you want from your deck to the grave. Like I've seen, you know, variants of this using Metal Foes and all sorts of other things. So yeah, you know, Subterras are really good. The problem is maybe they are a bit pricey, but honestly, compared to like Diagrams and Masterpiece, I really don't think that this deck is all too hard to get. And I guess if we're talking about Subterras, we can't leave out the other TCG exclusive archetype, Spirals. So I'm gonna be honest, when this archetype first came out, I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand like how this deck is supposed to work, what's so special about it. It just seemed like a bunch of ragtag monsters. And I mean, even as they continued to get support, I was just kind of still at a loss. I was like, it's cool, like, you know, the theme is cool, but this deck doesn't work, and like all these cards just, they're not plusy enough, or they're not, like, some stuff isn't searchable, or it doesn't do enough. But over time, I've started to realize the Spiral deck is honestly really pretty good, and the most recent bout of support with, like, you know, Spiral Sleeper and Spiral Fully Armed and stuff like that actually make this deck pretty dang good. I was just in, like, it's kind of one of the things where it doesn't make sense until you read all the old stuff in tandem with the new stuff. Because Spiral Fully Armed is super powerful and, you know, let you banish like 2 cards and all this stuff. But when you consider that it's actually able to be searched, and you know, you've got all these things like Spiral Quick Fix that makes it really easy to search, and you've got stuff like Spiral Resort that stops your monsters from being, you know, targeted unless you get a free spiral from your deck every turn. It all kind of really comes together. The best part about this deck is, like Subterras, some of the cards are like high-ish rarity, but again, compared to what you could be buying, it's not really all that bad. And Spirals are this fun sort of control deck too. Like, you know, you've got that one trap that actually just lets you get rid of like spin monsters like Free Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. And, you know, of course, the new Equip spell. I think that it's one of those decks that if you are interested in something that will work past Link monsters, and I probably should have said this for Subterras too, then Spirals are a really great pick. Deck number 3 is Predaplants. So as we all know, we got Orphis Scorpio, Darlingtonia Cobra, and that's kind of the new engine that some people think is like better than Terratop, and it can, you know, search like Instant Fusion, Brilliant Fusion, all that. But what a lot of people fail to realize is that, you know, the Predaplant deck is not all that bad. At first, I will admit, it was just kind of weird. It was like, oh, you gotta put these like Predaplant counters on stuff, and it doesn't really do a whole lot. But when you, again, like a lot of these archetypes, look back at some of the support they've gotten in the past, it really all starts to come together. They've got 3 different fusion monsters, and they're all actually pretty good, especially Greedy Venom Dragon and Chimera Felicia, I think is the name of the regular just Predaplant fusion monster. The fact that this deck can actually use that new engine and search its own, you know, polymerization cards makes it really pretty good. It's one of those decks that I don't know all too much about it, to be honest. I'm including it in this because I think it's something that a lot of people might really enjoy. What's really cool too is like it can, you know, make use of things like Lone Fire Blossom, things like Miracle Fertilizer, and with Lone Fire Blossom you can easily get to Orphis Scorpio, which easily gets to Cobra, which easily gets to your fusion spells, and means that making these fusion monsters is super easy. Plus they can actually use fusion recycling plants. One of the only decks I've seen that can like make really consistent use of it outside of, I guess, a few others. But this is the one that comes in Maximum Crisis. Now of course that means you'll have to go back and get a lot of the old support, but that's not too hard. Fusion Forces has plenty of it and it's all really cheap. So this is a deck that I highly recommend giving a try. And deck number 4 is Spirals. Oh wait, I thought you already said Spirals. Not those Spirals. The Spiral Dragon. So, well, sort of. So there's this really old rare card that was like, you know, the Spiral Serpent. Well, he has a new retrained form, and if you haven't read it, basically there's a field spell, and there's all these equip spells, and there's all these traps, and they basically all work with it, and it's sort of a big bout of normal monster support. The thing about this deck, Alex actually brought it to my attention because I had no clue it was coming out, because like I said, everyone's talking about True Kings and all this stuff. Well, it's like, this deck is actually really neat. The way it functions is so unique. The field spell summons tokens for you whenever your opponent does anything. And these tokens, you know, you can equip them with these equip spells, and the equip spells do neat little stuff, but they make summoning the main boss monster really easy, and they equip to him. And then some of the traps have really powerful effects, like, you know, destroying monsters. And as long as you have the field spell on your field, you can use the traps from your hand, and one of the traps actually lets you win the duel automatically if one of your Spiral Serpent monsters attacks with like 3 equip spells equipped to it. This deck is actually really crazy, and it's not all that bad. You can use it with a lot of normal monsters. Things that come to mind are like that new water dinosaur monster that has 2000 attack. Also, just things like Gene Warped Werewolf or Alexandrite Dragon, because you pretty much have to use normal monsters. You could throw in cards like Heatwave if you wanted to, or Skill Drain. It's a deck that really has a lot of potential to be like kind of an interesting rogue thing. A lot of people will have no clue how this deck functions or how it operates, so that's a really big plus. And if you're just interested in things that are really easy to get, because this whole deck is like common and rare, then this is probably the deck for you. And the last deck on this list, and probably a bit of a stretch, is Sylvans. So Sylvans get 1 support card in this set, so I know that like it's kind of an extreme thing for me to be including it here, but it's Sylvan Princess Sprite, and this Xyz monster is so incredibly good. It's a rank 1 Xyz monster. For Sylvan, that's not hard to do. You've got, you know, Cherub Sprout, Princess Sprout, Peacekeeper, lots of level 1 plants. Plus, I mean, you can always just use like Spore and Glow Up Bulb, which a lot of them do too. And it has 2 different effects. So you can, you know, detach and all that stuff, and you're able to excavate a card from the top of your deck. If it's a spell or trap, you get to add it to your hand no matter what it is. And if it's a monster, it goes to the grave. And if you know anything about Sylvans, when they get excavated and go to the grave, they do crazy things that, you know, like things like searching, things like free special summons, all that stuff. In addition, it's got a second effect where you can just send any plant from your hand or field to the graveyard to summon a Sylvan monster from your grave. That's huge. There's obviously, you know, Hermitry, Sage Koya, those things come to mind, or some of the smaller ones like, you know, Princess Sprout and stuff that are really more combo oriented. I think that this is one of those cards that, you know, it came at a really random weird time. No one thought Sylvans would really be getting a whole lot more support, but it really brings the deck together quite well. It kind of reminds me of how like Subterra Fiendus does for Subterras. So yeah, like I said, you know, with this card, you're gonna have to go out and get a lot of the old Sylvan monsters, and admittedly, that can be like a bit of a trial in itself. They're not expensive, there's just a lot of them to sort through. But if you're looking for a cool plant deck and maybe Predaplants aren't your style, then this is also a second alternative. And so those are 5 cool decks that are a bit underrated, not really being talked about in Maximum Crisis. They might be worth building and picking up. And if you made it this far in the video, then you've probably guessed I'm going to be giving away a booster box of Maximum Crisis thanks to TCG Player, my very incredible sponsor. Check them out for some great deals on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles sealed product. In fact, any card game singles sealed product. But yeah, if you want more details, all you have to do is click the link in the description. It's a Gleam giveaway, so you can get entries by, of course, being subscribed to the channel, but a load of other things, liking the Facebook page, following me on Twitter, stuff like that gives you additional entries. So yeah, that's all for the video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I will catch you guys in the next one.